got a hold of that one.
Oh, just.
It's like he knows what he's doing.
Oh my gosh.
It's because I do. Yeah, that's rather impressive. Baldy, man,
That was a good shot.
I can't give you too much
Yeah,
crap.
right.
Again, I would have killed a bird or a tree or something in that whole
You know,
mix
we
there.
all got to figure out where our lane is in life, and we just got to stick to it,
Right.
right?
Telling you, we got to get you in a jet, man. We'll call it even.
Hey, know what you're good at.
You have my number, so just give me a call when you get a
Man,
chance.
It's awesome being here with you guys with the foundation. We've talked a good bit, but for those that are kind of chiming in for the first time, brothers, one more handsome than the other. I won't say which one, right? I mean,
We'll leave that to the audience.
yeah, but
Bold statement, my friend.
yeah. No, it's great to be here, but I want to dig into the aspect of what you guys do because they're professions. You're a professional golfer, professional fighter pilot. I use that term loosely. But I think most people can believe the fact that it takes a lot of work to get to either one of the spots that you guys are standing in. So I want to jump back into kind of the beginning for both of you. And Michael, we can start with you because it's the most foreign world to me. Like I do play golf. I would be embarrassed if I played golf with you. Like again, I can't give Baldy too much crap for that shot. But when did you know, like, hey, I want to go be a professional golfer? And at some point, I imagine too, when you said, hey, I want to go, because I would have played professional baseball, right? But
Right.
the cards weren't there.
Yeah.
They said, hey, I think I can do this, and like really put it into overdrive.
Yeah, so I was introduced to golf via the TV, actually. My dad, mom love golf. My dad especially loves watching golf. He had it on every weekend. And I think when I was 6 or 7, I saw Davis Love III on TV, and I was like, I want to do what he does.
Yeah.
And he had that look about him, kind of that little bit of an arrogant walk, but also still very classy, and it just looked like a whole lot of fun. So that's what I wanted to do. And from that moment, I made it my life dream, my life goal to be a professional golfer. And I did everything in my power to get myself better and in a position to pursue that dream. I worked really hard every day after school. I mean, I've hit millions of golf balls on the range. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours, and propelled myself, got to a point where I got really good. In high school, I started taking lessons and I broke par for the first time. And I just took off from there. Arizona State Player of the Year 2 years in a row in high school, and then got a golf scholarship to play at Tulane. Transferred to Alabama after Hurricane Katrina. And you asked, when did I really kind of have an idea that this was possible? It was actually when I transferred to Alabama. And that was because I had won 4 times in college at Tulane and kind of had a cherry pick of who I wanted to go play for after that. And I went to Alabama, got significantly better, finished runner-up at the USAM, so therefore got to play in the Masters and the US Open as an amateur.
Wow.
My brother got to be there for both of those, which was fantastic. And that was the start of the dream. And when I turned pro, I was #1 amateur in the world. So just kind of continued to get better and better and better. I always worked as hard as I possibly could, tried to put in more hours than everybody else. And then one of the major things that propelled me through, kept me motivated, was just my belief and my desire to be a professional golfer. And I didn't let anybody tell me I couldn't do it. Our dad, actually, he made me get a job after my sophomore year of college at a law firm. He didn't want me to play amateur golf that summer, and so I worked all summer in New Orleans in a law firm, kind of gave up golf for 3 months.
Really?
Yeah.
I imagine that probably definitely solidified or reinforced the fact that I don't want to do this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, did not like sitting at a desk. Didn't like being stuck inside. I like the outdoors, right? But after that, my game started to get significantly better. And then when I finished runner-up at the USAM, my dad finally started to believe. He's like, "Okay, I think you can do this. Let's go all in."
How many guys play on the tour?
So every year there's about 200 full-time PGA Tour players. There's about another 50 or so that have conditional status, but only 150 players each week in the field. So not everybody gets to play.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know what the numbers are for MLB, NBA, NFL. Obviously, there might be more teams playing with that, so the number skewed. But it's a small percentage to get to the level where you're at.
It is.
So
yeah.
Top percent. It now makes more sense of why the shots look so different just a minute ago. It all is coming to light. Well, I want to pivot to baldy here just for a minute. Something I'm more familiar with, the flying world. What was it for you? When did you know that, hey, I want to go fly?
So I think we've maybe talked about this before to a certain degree, but our dad basically loved two things. He loved really aviation. He wanted to do it. He just didn't have the eyes for it back in the 60s. And he loved golf. So he really just kind of exposed us both to that at more or less the exact same time when we were 6. So, you know, much to my mother's chagrin to a certain degree, my dad showed us Top Gun when we were 6. Parts of it, not the full movie, but parts of it, you know. Awesome. It was great, obviously. And then, you know, we got exposed to golf. We did our first lessons over there at Davis Monthan when we were that age. And by pure happenstance, not by like force or anything, he fell in love with golf and I fell in love with flying. So like we basically grew up committing time, energy, motivation to really doing what we wanted to do. So as he was kind of practicing and spending hours doing that, I was kind of trying to figure out what the path was to become a pilot. And my parents were super, you know, our parents were super supportive of both of our kind of our dreams. And you know, our dad exposed us to, or exposed me to the academy and that option, that road. And, you know, he was in the Arizona Air Guard, so he knew a couple of Viper pilots from that experience, and kind of had them kind of talk to me about what road I should take, and that ended up being the academy. So I went there and then pursued a pilot slot, got FAPed as we talked about at another time, and but then got a Viper slot and basically was able to, through hours of time, the commitment of, you know, of aviation, basically excelling at every point that I could possibly get to the point where I could get in the seat of a fighter jet. So and so here we stand today, which is, you know, we laugh about it all the time about how he's the, you know, the PGA professional and I'm, you know, was able to get myself in the seat of a fighter jet.
I no longer have the coolest job.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which is a constant conversation piece, so for sure.
Well, you know, the thread I want to pull on here, because it's a theme, and it's funny, going to dinner last night, the Uber driver, he asked me what I did, so I told him I was a pilot, and he was like, whoa, that's so cool. He's like, how long have you been flying, and when did you know you wanted to fly? And I told him, you know, it was pretty early on. So my first flight in a Cessna was on September 10th, 2001, right? And that, like, the next day, it was like a catalyst for me personally. But at that point, anything I did was to become a pilot in the military.
Right, yeah.
And any job I had, any club I joined, everything, I always asked myself, like, is this going to help me to further my goal? And I hear the same thing from you guys. He also said this, and that's what the question would be, and it's open. Like, do you think it's luck that at such a young age you figured out what your passion was and what you wanted to do? Or do you think there was some other force or thing that was at play that kind of guided you along the process?
I think for me, I was always very athletically inclined. I loved playing sports, and I think golf just caught my eye, right? It's just a twinkle in my eye whenever I saw it on TV, whenever I went out to the golf course, and I just loved it. I will say the one thing our parents did really well, at least for me, with regards to sports, is they never asked how I performed. The first question they always asked when I got home from a tournament or from practicing was, did you have fun? Right? The game's all about fun. I happen to do it for a living, so it matters a little bit more, slightly.
Got to pay
right?
the light bill.
Yeah. But so for me as a kid growing up, there was never any pressure to perform for my parents. They always just wanted me to have fun. And they were really encouraging to both of us to pursue our passions. And I think the best things we can do as parents for our children is to expose them to as many different things as possible and let them choose, right? Absolutely. Let them choose what they want to do with their lives. And because ultimately we just want our kids to be happy.
100%. Yeah, no, I think I do consider myself fortunate. It's a similar story for me. My dad kind of saw the aviation world. We weren't a military family, but he's like, you might like that. Exposed me to it, and that was the hook. Like, that's all it took. It wasn't a push, and then now I'm going to go do it. But again, I do think I'm fortunate that early on I had that exposure, and I was like, this is what I want to go do out there and pursue it. Because the other thing too is, like, the runway is short in life.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and like very quickly, I was just, again, thinking the other day, it's like, it's been 2 decades of, I got my pilot's license.
Right,
and you're like, man, like it happened in a blink
that
of an eye.
old.
Yeah, just old and broken. I mean,
right.
you're back, you know, like how that's going to be feeling
going.
tonight.
Yeah,
that's how I feel right now.
Yeah, I've been playing competitive golf for 30 years now, since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and I love every minute of it.
So here's a question, because again, too, like you're still in the jet, you're still playing on the tour. I know at some point, right? Like I'm not in the jet anymore, and I've now say I used to fly the Viper, which I'm in a very happy, comfortable spot. That is not always an easy thing to do. At some point, you're going to have to say, I used to be on the PGA, I used to be flying a Viper. Do you guys think about that at all, or?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, the median age on tour now is in the 20s. It used to be closer to 35.
Wow.
So a lot more young guys out on tour. Obviously, stronger, faster, hit the ball farther. I'm a veteran now. I'm a wily veteran, and so for me, I'm on the second half of my career, and I hope that I can be out there for 10 more years. Use my my skills and my strategy and my consistency to hopefully be competitive. But absolutely, the thought is starting to cross my mind is like, all right, when am I going to be done? And whenever that happens, am I going to be ready? Right? I will always love competitive golf. As us three, we're all competitive in nature. We wouldn't have gotten to where we are unless we're competitive. And I think that's a big part of being successful and pursuing passions, being competitive, having desire and drive. But at the same time, we all have kids now, right? And it's a lot of fun watching them pursue their passions. And so for me, I think about that's going to be the next phase of my life. And I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good perspective. I kind of look at it as like chapters too, you know, like I've had some really good chapters, and now it's entering a different chapter and different objectives and different goals and happiness, or, you know, metrics for that. So I don't know, it's a blessing to be here. It's amazing to be able to hang out with you guys, get to know you, get to know Guns and the foundation. The work you guys are doing is pretty incredible, and it's fun to be just a small part of it. And share the message.
We're really happy to have you here. So, it's
awesome.
been good.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, for
Thanks.
sure.
Boom.
Thanks. Yeah.